I'm going to share with you the single most important thing I do every single day that changes the trajectory of the rest of my day. Hello, and welcome to this safe space. I'm your host, Heather, and on this podcast, I share with you ways to move past trauma, anxiety, and stress so you can reclaim your energy and live a more peaceful inner life. If there's something in your life right now that is not ideal, but you do not have a way to change it in this very moment, it's basically out of your control. For example, maybe you don't like your job and you're trying to find something else, but nothing's working out yet. And you find that you're becoming a bit pessimistic about it. You find yourself feeling down, upset, maybe even angry because nothing feels like it's working out. This is for you. What if I told you that you can change this without anything else in your world changing first? And what if I told you it is so simple? If this meant that you could become friends with those feelings of anger and frustration while also moving the pendulum towards feeling abundant and wonderful, would you do it? It doesn't cost anything, and it could take as little as 2 to 5 minutes in the morning. So firstly, I want you to ask yourself a question. This morning when you woke up, what thoughts were going through your head? What feelings or sensations were you feeling as you went about your morning routine of getting ready to go to work? What were you feeling and thinking on the drive or commute to work? And were these emotions turning you against yourself? For example, when you started feeling frustrated or angry, how were you talking to yourself, your inner self-talk? What were you feeling about yourself? Were you feeling like you were maybe a fuck up, like there's something wrong with you? And then looking back at your day, did your day turn out the same way you had been feeling before you ever stepped foot into your office or workplace? Here's how to change this. Now, I hesitate to call this a gratitude practice, only because I feel like, one, it's way more than that. And also, when you are so down in the dumps emotionally, and I've been there, just the sound of someone saying gratitude practice used to turn me off. And it's maybe because misery loves company, or we do not feel like we can feel gratitude in this moment. Maybe it was because I never thought about gratitude in a different way, so it always felt like this complete opposite of what I was currently feeling, and I had no idea how to shift it in a healthy way. So today I'm going to teach you the easiest way to feel gratitude, and you don't even need to change how you're feeling to start the shift. In fact, the first thing we are going to do is befriend the perceived negative emotions. And I use the word perceived because I don't believe anger or frustration is bad, and people usually relate negative to bad. Therefore, I'm using perceived. And then we are going to go into gratitude. We do not want to gaslight ourselves, and we do not want to bypass what we're already feeling. Gaslighting, for anyone who is unfamiliar with the term, is manipulation using psychological methods to make someone question their own sanity. For instance, let's say you saw your boyfriend out with someone else, and you know you saw this, but when you confront him, he denies it and turns it on you in a way where you're left questioning if you really saw what you saw. So in our case of the negative emotions, we do not want to just try and push them away and force a more positive feeling when that is not what we are feeling. This would also bypass what is really going on, and because our emotions are messengers to us, we want to give them the time they deserve so that we can move through them. So those feelings are valid. The feelings that you're feeling, that you perceive as negative, they're valid. So we want to validate them. We want to allow ourselves to feel them and then also find things that we are grateful for afterwards. So what does this even look like? So when you wake up, I want you to start paying attention to what thoughts you're thinking and what emotions come up. For instance, if I wake up and I think, oh my God, I don't want to go to my job today. I'm not sure I can handle another day there. And then the emotions of sadness and anger come up. I want you to start talking to your emotions. Firstly, ask them what they need. Okay, this may sound silly, but it's so profound. Just sit with sadness. Ask, why is this the emotion that is coming up? Why do I feel sadness when I think, what thoughts you're thinking? And then validate it, because this is a valid feeling of having to do something that you really don't want to do. It's a completely valid emotion. And tell yourself that the anger you're feeling is just. You are right for feeling angry about this. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel angry that you have to go do something for someone else to get money to then pay to simply live, to have the basic necessities to survive. Okay, anger is valid here. And when it comes to anger, sometimes letting out a silent scream can really make you feel better as well. You could let out a normal scream, but I don't know your living situation. I don't know if that would scare someone. In my situations where I really felt like I needed to let out a scream, but I didn't want to alarm people, the silent scream also has so much power. But if you're somewhere remote and you can just scream at the top of your lungs, I've done that on the top of the mountain one time, and oh my God, liberating, very liberating. We are so programmed and taught that anger is a bad thing, that these emotions are a bad thing. We're so taught that, or programmed that letting out a giant scream of anger is like somehow bad. It's somehow negative. We shouldn't do that, right? It's so necessary sometimes. So let it out and allow yourself to feel these while validating them. Feelings are meant to be felt, and they're meant to be processed so that they can flow and then they can be released. We want to validate the feelings instead of having the feelings turn on us. Meaning if you're feeling angry on your way to work, but you haven't validated this, you might find yourself becoming angry with yourself. You might go down a bad path of regretting taking a job you hate, regretting passing up maybe a past opportunity. Validation changes everything here. So after you do this, after you allow yourself to feel what comes up and validate how you're feeling, I want you to just start looking around your room and start saying thank you for things that are in your life. Take the most simple things that you can think of. Thank you for this roof over my head. Thank you for the bed that I get to sleep in. Thank you for the food in my fridge. Thank you for the clothes on my back. Thank you for a way to make money so that I don't have to live on the streets. The more we can find in our life that we are thankful for, the more abundant we start to feel. So spending some time here, simply saying thank you for things, as small as it may seem, will start to shift our emotional state naturally. You don't have to feel this huge amount of gratitude to be in a gratitude practice. In fact, if you have never done this before, or if feeling gratitude, feeling grateful for things is not a frequent experience in your life, simply saying thank you for this, thank you for this, thank you for this thing that's in my life, it really will start to build up that gratitude feeling within you. You don't have to feel it before you start saying thank you. So this was so profound when I realized that this was a way that I could start being more grateful. I could start my gratitude practice, because there was a very long period of time in my life where I was living in survival mode. That was the only mode I knew. And if I knew that all I had to do was start saying thank you, I would have been able to shift a lot of this a lot faster. That's why I'm talking about it here. Because if you're there, if you haven't really been able to tap into the feelings of gratitude, because gratitude feels so good, right? When let's just take something, somebody gives you a gift and it's so meaningful and thoughtful. You know, that feeling of just gratitude, like, wow, even just that, realization that somebody thought about you and they remembered this thing and they gifted this thing to you. That feeling of gratitude feels amazing. And you do not have to wait for something huge to come into your life to feel gratitude. You can feel gratitude right here, right now, no matter how shitty your life feels in this moment, no matter if everything's crumbling down around you. Okay, and I've been there. I've been there several times where literally systematically everything in my life will break down and crumble and something completely new will start to emerge, right? And in that crumbling phase, you have two options. You have the option to stay in that feeling state of, holy shit, everything's not working out. You could stay in that, or you could choose to look at it a different way. You could choose to look at it as, wow, okay, maybe there's something about something that's totally crumbling down right now that you didn't like anyway. Maybe it's something that you've been wanting to change, but you didn't know how. And then all of a sudden, something outside of you comes in and starts to derail that. It starts to crumble. You could choose to look at that as, wow, this is great. I knew I needed a change, and look, it's changing for me. You can always look at things differently. So, okay, back into this. So after you do this and you start really sitting with the thank yous and you look around, you'll also start to realize all the things that maybe you've been taking for granted. I mean, even a roof over your head. I grew up in Central America where, everybody didn't have a house. Like, there were so many homeless people. There were so many people living in, okay, so here's a little side tangent story for you. And this stuck with me so much. I don't even remember which country this was in. It was either when we moved to Nicaragua or Honduras. And we met some people, or I don't know how my parents knew these people, but they invited us over to their house one day. And they were so ecstatically happy. Okay, they were genuinely happy. And I remember getting this feeling of their excitement, right? I felt their excitement about them being able to bring us to their home and how proud they were of their home. Guess what their home was made out of? Okay, so first off, it was on this really like this muddy dirt hill. Hill is an understatement, because it was really like, I believe it was kind of like in the mountainous areas, and their home had to be surrounded by a bunch of sandbags, because if it rained, the mud would just, it'd be like a mudslide. So their house had to be surrounded by sandbags so that their house wouldn't just wash down the side of this hill or mountain they were on, right? But their house, so they brought us inside their tiny little house. Their house was built out of the crates that we shipped all of our belongings in when we moved to that country. I guess, I don't know if my parents had donated those crates. I don't know how they met these people, but they brought us to their house and they're like, look. and they pointed at the address on the, like, if I'm remembering this correctly, they pointed at like our names or our address that was on these crates, that we use these crates to ship our belongings, and this was their home. They made a little shack out of it, and this was their home, and they were so proud of this. I remember their excitement. I remember that feeling of their excitement. They were so genuinely happy. Okay, so if you have a roof over your head right now, and you have heat, you have AC, you are completely safe from the environment that is outside of your house is not going to get washed down a mudslide when it rains. You have insulation. You know, the bugs can't come in, or maybe if one or two come in, you find it as an annoyance, but it's not like they have, you know, cracks in the walls that they can just keep coming in. You are so abundant right now. Okay, so abundant. So on your way to work, if you start feeling the negative feelings again, simply tell yourself, I know. You know, even putting your hand on your heart, like, I know it's rough right now. I know you're hurting right now. Talking to yourself here. Validate those feelings again. So telling yourself that I know you're hurting right now, being your friend. So what would your friend tell you if your friend was sitting with you in your car on the way to work, and you just started, you know, telling them, oh my God, I'm feeling this right now. What would a really good friend say to you? Say that, give that to yourself. You know, I know you're hurting right now, but I also know that something will change soon, because this too shall pass. Nothing in life is permanent. And the things that are hard right now, they will pass. They will become memories at one point. Think back to a time where you were going through a rough spot, but now it's just a memory, right? Everything passes. Everything has their time and place in our life, and nothing's permanent. And by validating and feeling these emotions, and then finding the things in life you are grateful for, you're opening up your heart center. By opening up our heart center and feeling the love that's there for the simple things that we do have already in our lives that we are grateful for, we start to open ourselves up for receiving. We start to open ourselves up for receiving new things. So if we get stuck in the negative and we aren't practicing gratitude for the things that are already here in our lives, the things that we are really grateful for when we think about them, we're going to stay stuck in this cycle. What we put our attention on persists. I was listening to someone's video one time, and I can't remember who this was. I listened to a lot of stuff, a lot of podcasts, but what she said really stuck. One thing she said really stuck with me, and I can't even remember. It wasn't what we put our attention on persists. It was something else. It was really catchy. But essentially, it's what we put our attention on, what we focus on persists. Because if you're thinking it, we are the creators of our reality. So by staying in these emotions and letting them fester and grow without looking around and noticing the things that are good in our lives, we're going to remain here. This is what's going to persist. But my experience with doing these two simple things in the morning, validating and feeling my feelings, that's so crucial, that's so important, and then start tapping into the energy of gratitude, my day will start off on a better note. My emotional state will be that of love and openness, which then spreads into the rest of my day. And I find that I have a better experience than if I didn't do these things. And certain things are just out of our control. And by validating how it makes us feel, we are strengthening the relationship with ourselves by tapping into all the good things that we do have in our lives. We open ourselves up for receiving new opportunities. So if you're trying to find a new job, let's go back to like that scenario, right? If you're trying to find a new job and you're you're putting all this effort in, right? Like you're applying for everything, you're looking for jobs. But if this is out of like a desperate feeling, a desperation, and you feel like you have to be the one to find that job, you have to be the one to keep applying until that one job pops up and if you feel like you're in control of that, it's going to be so hard. And if you're stuck in this negative emotional loop while you're doing it, it's going to be hard. You may not find a better fit. What you probably will end up creating is another job that you're going to end up feeling like this at some point in, right? So if you can validate those feelings, realize that it's out of your control. It's not in your control whether a company reaches out to you from your application, right? That's not something you have control over. But by validating how it's making you feel the feelings, let them pass through you and let them be released. Release them once you're done feeling them. And then by focusing on all the good that is in your life, you are now in a way better position to draw in a more positive job experience, because we are like magnets, right? We attract what we feel. We attract what's going on within us. So, and this kind of goes back to my last video that I uploaded, my last podcast number 2. Maybe I'll link that. I'll link that one here, because that it ties into this kind of message as well. But you're going to draw in what you're feeling. Like your feeling state is so important in drawing in experiences, opportunities, even jobs. If you're in a bad place emotionally, you're not going to be able to draw in that super positive job experience, because that's not where you're at. That's not where you're at. You need to align with what you're trying to draw in. So the emotional state of gratitude is abundance. So you might find that after making this your new morning practice, you start seeing synchronicities start to pop up around you. New opportunities will want to come your way because you're now in a state of receiving, and you're in a state of receiving from a state of abundance and gratitude. Okay, so this sets you up for something better coming into your life. So I totally invite you to do a 7-day challenge with this. Make a conscious decision every morning to do these 2 things and see how that week plays out. Compare it to the past week. What was different? And if you notice a positive shift, even a small one, keep going, because it only gets better and better. And it also gets easier and easier to tap into that gratitude. So this is so powerful. This has been one of my methods of manifestation, and the things that will pop up will surprise you. And if you're still here with me and you resonate with this topic, I invite you to click on the like button and subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell. This will help get the message out to more people who can benefit from this. And this way you also won't miss out on any upcoming videos. Thank you for listening. I'm sending you so much love. I know you can do this. I know it may feel hard the first few times doing anything new. It can feel weird, awkward, hard, different. But I hope your situation shifts very soon, and I'll see you on the next episode.